All right, folks. Okay, so this is the second video about the DBQ that you guys are actually going to write. Okay, and the first thing that I'm going to talk about here, we all think that AP stands for Advanced Placement, and it kind of does. But I think a better definition of what AP stands for, and this comes from Miss West, so I appreciate you, Miss West. It means address the prompt. Okay, and I screamed that for a very good reason. Okay, because sometimes we start to write an essay or a DBQ or whatever it may be, and we kind of forget what they're actually asking us. Okay, so the very, 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 very first thing that we should do, the very important first step that we should do is always look at the prompt question, all right, and specifically look what the College Board is asking us, okay? So the question is, evaluate the effectiveness of progressive era reformers and the federal government in bringing about reform at the national level. In your answer, be sure to analyze the successes and limitations of these efforts in the period of 1900 to 1920. Okay, so the first thing that we should do, okay, guys, and I'll recommend that you guys do this as you're reading this. Okay, we should probably use that those annotating skills to kind of make sure we key in on the important words. Okay, all right, and so the first thing I'm going to notice here: evaluate the effectiveness. Okay, I think that that's actually absolutely crucial. Okay, and as we're reading it, by reading the question, we are going to get a decent idea of what our preliminary buckets or subcategories are going to be as we're reading the documents. Okay, so if I'm looking at this and I'm evaluating the effectiveness of it, my first idea for what my buckets are going to be. Pause to let you think about this for yourself. Think about what Mr. Loyd's about to say. And if you said to yourself, effective and ineffective, hey, go ahead and pat yourself on the head. Okay, give yourself a round of applause. All right, nice job. All right, I'm proud of you. Okay, because that's a good place to start. All right, and that might not necessarily be the buckets that you use. Okay, but that's at least a good way of starting to read the documents and having a way that you're going to sort this information. Okay, so and we're talking about reformers, progressive era reformers in the federal government bringing about reform at the national level. All right, this is what we talked about the other day, this idea of a nation state. Okay, the federal government bringing the entire nation together under one auspice of trying to advance and help individuals. Okay, so in your answer, and this is important, okay, anytime you see those words, that's crucial. Anytime you see those words, your ears should go, all right, perk up, because it's telling you specifically what should be in your essay. It's telling you to analyze the successes and the limitations. Okay, so no matter what we do, and you don't need to have a body paragraph for successes and a body paragraph for limitations, but let's say you chose to use the spice chart instead. Okay, and as you're reading, you were sorting them into social, political, and economic. Let's just say, for an example, if you're doing a social bucket, so how it is that the progressive era reformers affected society, in that subcategory, you should talk about how it successfully reformed society and the limitations of those reforms upon society, okay? So just making sure that we're looking here, what are the things that they're telling you? Because they're trying to help you be successful. What are the things that they're telling you that they want in their answer? All right. One thing that I need to point out about this one in particular is that this is going back to 2003, and the College Board can't really make up their mind on how they want to test your knowledge of advanced placement U.S. history. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so this says suggested writing time is 45 minutes. That has changed. Okay, they suggested the suggested time is now an hour and 15 minutes, and they actually have less documents. Okay, so now you're going to have 7 documents. I think this is A through J. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. That's 10 documents, so there's slightly more. Okay, however, guys, I'm going to still ask that you include 6, okay? You SOAP 3, and you describe 3, okay? So that's still going to be the requirement, even though there's 10 total here, okay? So the next thing that you guys should be doing, all right, as we're going through, all right, is we should be going through and we should be reading the documents, and we should be doing 2 things as we're doing it, all right? One thing that we should be doing is we should be acknowledging, as we're looking at the documents, we should just be kind of soaping them. Now, do not do a complete soap chart for each one of these documents because you don't have enough time. All right. For those of you guys at 5th hour, I'm going to tell you guys to spend 15 minutes soaping and planning this document. Actually put a timer out. All right. I'm going to tell you, all told, you should not work on this for more than an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. Because we're practicing doing this in a timed setting. Okay. So as we're doing it, just make little notes, okay, keeping in mind, okay, what the idea of this is. Okay, so clearly, the purpose of this document is to show that that Teddy Roosevelt is cracking down on bad trust and he is supporting good trust. Okay, and this kind of gets to that whole teddy bear idea that we talked about. All right, but what we should be looking at, okay, clearly this is somebody that has a favorable view of Teddy Roosevelt and the way that he addressed the economy. Okay, so that's something that we maybe talk about. Maybe this is a Republican. This is a Republican paper. Okay, this is somebody that is in favor of Teddy Roosevelt's square deal. Those are all things that are reasonable to write down for that, right? Then we should also talk about, where does this fall into our category? All right, is this effective or ineffective? Okay, clearly the author of this document, the artist, thinks that it is effective. He clearly thinks that this is what Roosevelt's doing. He's cracking down on bad trust and he's supporting good trust. Okay, now that's good. So you could put this under effective. Now you can use your outside information and evaluate for yourself, is that really what was happening in 1907? And the answer is meh. Kind of, okay? Teddy Roosevelt cracked down on some, but he was not the trust buster that he kind of portrayed himself to be, all right? Remember, William Howard Taft was more of that going forward, okay? So again, we're looking at, all right, so I have an idea that the speaker is a Republican. The purpose is to show Teddy Roosevelt's square deal, that distinguishing between good companies and bad companies, all right, and whether or not it's effective. I don't actually know what's going on over here. This is really concerning to me. That's like, looks like a messed up koala. All right, but moving on. All right, so that's what we're doing. Okay, so we're looking at it. All right, same thing as you go here. And I will tell you guys, these documents are a little bit shorter. Okay, so there's more of them, but they're a little bit shorter than what the ones that you will have here, but that's just keeping that in mind. Okay, so again, this is Neil Reynolds' report, June 4th, 1906. Meat scraps were also found being shoveled into receptacles from dirty floors, left to lie until again shoveled into barrels into machines for choppings. Okay, and some things, so this is talking about the meat packing industry, some things that you might think here. Also be thinking about outside evidence as you're doing this. You might like write up in the corner, Upton Sinclair the Jungle. All right, and so that actually, as I'm soaping this, that might be an occasion for you. Okay, I can't actually remember the year that Sinclair came up with that, but it's around this time, so that might be a good thing to talk about occasion, that this is something that's in the front of mind as like this is going on, because it's talking about the meatpacking industry. And then again, talking about is this effective or is this ineffective? Is this, I can't remember the words, successful or is this a limitation? And to an extent, you could probably say that this is successful too. Okay, this is going to a report where they're looking into it, and again, thinking of outside evidence, the Meat Inspection Act, I think is what it's called, the FDA, things like that. Okay, so things like that, we're trying to crack down on things like this. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and you're going to do that for all of these documents. So again, not soaping them entirely, but just taking little bullet point notes. Okay, all right, that who's the speaker, what's the occasion, who's the audience for this, so on and so forth, and just kind of be putting them as buckets as you go. All right. Now, when you get to the end of it, okay, you might have had an idea. Maybe you were keeping track of effective, ineffective as you were going through, effective or limitations as you were going through, and that's good. Okay, that's totally good to do. That you guys don't need to do this part, so you can just ignore that. But as you get to the end, maybe you'll start to think, okay, all right, what documents go together? All right, and you might not have had the labels for them in your mind as you were going through it, but you might say to yourself, okay, well, maybe like, and I'm just going to make it up because I haven't read all of these, but maybe like A and F go together, all right, or A, F, and G go together, whatever it may be. But what are the ones that have a similar idea? Put those into your buckets, your subcategories, and then think of a name for them, okay? All right, once you have a name for them, okay, remember, okay, we're going to do our little chicken foot, all right? And so I'm going to use my little handy thing here. Okay, so our chicken foot, okay, remember this main line here, this is where you are going to address the prompt, okay? So that's where, if I can't scroll now, okay, you're going to say the progressive reforms were effective because, okay, and that's the P part, so that's the part that's addressing the prompt. And then you're going to say the reasons that they were effective, and those are your chicken foots, okay? So these are the subcategories or the buckets that you came up with as you were reading these documents, okay? So, and you don't need to say effective or ineffective. You can say it was partially effective because blank, blank, and blank, okay? But this is key, guys. Okay, so this part, you are going to big picture, address the prompt. Okay, so big picture, address the prompt. All right, and then what are the reasons why you believe that? Okay, so this is your argument. This is your argument. Argument. Yeah, this is fun. This is your argument. These are your reasons. All right, and that's what we're looking for, okay? So after you get done reading, and I'll tell you guys, you should spend, again, I want you guys to start the clock. All right, I want you guys to start the clock, do 15 minutes where you're going through and reading it, and at the end of those 15 minutes, you should have them roughly soaped. Again, not each category, but rough outline of the soap categories that you came up with, and then you should have a thesis, okay? That should be the start of it. That's what we're looking for.